That was professionally taken.
Obviously, I did not know that we were going to talk about the wolf shirt when I came down here today, but I'm glad we are. But I made a shirt myself today.
That's all you want.
We've all heard the phrase at 5 o'clock somewhere, but this fast-paced world, who wants to wait until 5 to be able to discover noon is the new time. So, I don't think it'll be the same as the wolf shirt. The what? I might, yes, I might. I think it needs my shot. So, do you guys have a good, it seems like a while since I've seen, a good spring break? Just the last time.
I couldn't find them. They were in the
All right. So, we've got one more week left. I think what we'll do tonight, I've got a bunch of stuff I want to go over, but I think rather than waiting until after the break to do the sort of verbal presentations of the gap analysis, and I'm hoping you guys are ready for that. We'll do that first, take as long as we need on that, and then I'll lecture. Sorry. Could have been done before. I know. I was like, it's all right. That wolf thing shows the problem with what we call kind of civic sharing. It's been sort of a theme of the class. Amazon reviews are the best example of civic sharing. We talked about, really, if you wouldn't mind, put the laptop in.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just a second. So the Amazon reviews are people sharing information, expecting nothing in return, but just like as people are doing with music and other stuff. And the iPad is another great example of civic sharing, or sharing information. But where it falls down, it's hard for me to criticize the wolf, especially with someone here. It falls down to something like this, where the Amazon rankings are being done for humor more than anything else. Another example is the Michael Lewis, who writes about the financial world, and he has a new book out, a fantastic book, but it's gotten terrible Amazon reviews because it's not available for the Kindle or the iPad. So people have given it 1-star reviews saying, I want this on Kindle. They're not talking about the content at all, where if they were, they'd give it 5 stars. And so you get this problem of people wanting to share information, but the mechanism not allowing them to do so in a meaningful way. Yeah.
Netflix has a huge problem with that, especially with like college streaming or there's something stuff
So you get reviews based on the mechanism, not the content. And that's a failure of civic sharing. And so it points to what we have to deal with, because in fact, file sharing, music file sharing is a failure of the mechanism, right? All of us in this room, no matter how easily we will grab whatever music for free, are willing to pay something for the right thing. And yet, too often, we go, it's too damn hard to pay for this, it's too much, or whatever, I'm going to deal. And so as we devise business models moving forward, this mechanism to allow for profit around the sharing of things is important. The second thing that's important is that we've gone from this sort of world, sorry, pull up the graph from my own writing. I don't mean it to come across to you as like it will, but this idea of the pre-industrial age. Markets as bazaars, markets are one-to-one conversation. You want to buy something, I want to sell something, let's meet in the market and sell it. Through various reasons and machinations, you know, invisible hand, all that stuff, we get to this industrial age where we get an assembly line, where we start to create a gap, a chasm between the buyers and the sellers. Market as conversation goes away, right? Then we get in, if you watch Mad Men, and sort of modern, and by that I mean the 1950s, right? The modern era, from like 20s to the 50s, 55 or so, where you had what we define as the modern era, you see it in architecture, you see it in design, and you see it in advertising, where we started psychologizing people. And if you watch Mad Men, the way Don Draper sort of sells stuff, people aren't autonomous in the Mad Men world. It's all about sort of psychological manipulation. Then we get into the sort of postmodern, moving on from modern to the wisdom of the crowd, which is where we're on now. Right? We're in sort of this postmodern space of people are yelling. Right? Everybody's on Twitter, everybody's on Facebook, everybody's on Foursquare, everybody is shouting at the same time. Here I am, I have a voice now. Right? And smart marketers are allowing people to use it and building up massive sort of equity based on users. Right? Companies get sold today not because of the profit that they're generating, because of the number of users. Twitter's valuation is through the roof. Facebook's valuation, they do have a profit model, but it got through the roof long before they had the profit, just based on users, and it was all based on the fact that these companies were allowing people to have a voice. Well, so now we're getting the tension, and you guys are feeling it. One thing that you don't like doing is opening your email and seeing 55 messages that are Facebook status updates, right? And so people are yelling at you. And what was once this thing where, oh, cool, I can see what my friends are doing, is now, who the hell is this? When did I sign up for this? I'm being bombarded with it. I'm tired of Facebook. Am I wrong? Right? So that's a problem. If Facebook is the internet, and we're getting tired of it, and Facebook's about to start putting things or offering to web designers, so if I wanted to right now, or in the next month or so when Facebook introduces it, I could put right down here a little Facebook button that says like. And if you like what I wrote and you clicked on it, it would update your Facebook status. I like this article. Link. Facebook is the internet.
YouTube already have that?
Sorry?
Did YouTube just come out with that?
They may. I haven't seen it. So you can like a YouTube video on any site. Where does it update your status?
If it's on Facebook or your YouTube profile.
On Facebook? Yeah, I mean, there are lots of things.
Yeah.
There are lots of things to update your Facebook status. You know, one of the things that I'm proud of on this site, if I like something on Facebook, there it is. But this is slightly different. This would not force me to go to Facebook, any Facebook Connect type stuff. I just like it and it pops right up on Facebook. So, in any case, we're at this stage now where everybody's yelling at everybody else. And what I think is emerging is this sort of guide model or filter model, educated model. People that are starting to be taking the masses and leading them. We've always had this. I was trying to explain a website to somebody today, and what all we're trying to replicate, and you'll appreciate this, is back in the day you used to walk into record stores and they'd recognize you and they'd say, hey, I remember you bought, in my experience, R.E.M. Reckoning, I think maybe you will like Who's Produced, New Day Rising, whatever, right? And that happened in the record store because we were back to this, market this conversation, and of course, I would buy Who's Produced, New Day Rising, right? I also bought Zen Arcade, which used the hell out of me, I tried to return it, they got mad at me, in a relationship, because I've heard Zen Arcade. analysis. But we need that online. We need those filters. And so as you're building these things, it's gonna be less of a concern on sheer numbers. Because that's all we have right now. How many Twitter followers do you have? How many Facebook fans do you have? How much traffic are you getting to your site? And if you remember my little monthly or new report card thing, those are the right metrics, and those are the metrics that I must see in your final project for you to really pass. So I'm sure not so got a failure. But if I don't see those metrics, how are you measuring the success? Then something's deeply wrong. I haven't taught you yet, and because it's still formulated in my head, and I don't think anybody has the answers, but I do know that we need to start shifting from sheer volume, sheer numbers of users, sheer quantity, to the quality of users. You can measure that too. So, if for instance you've got 1,000 Twitter followers in your base, and you say, click, go to this link on my site. Click here to buy something or get something or whatever. You can do the division to say, okay, so I sent 1,000 out on Google Analytics. I saw that 100 clicked through. Well, that's 10% conversion, which isn't bad. That's actually high for Twitter. Twitter tends to be around 4%. Email's higher. And then how many people actually bought? And then you can start to say, well, of those 1,000 Twitter followers, I've really only got 5% that will actually buy what I want, do what I tell them to. You remember we started this class with the idea of 1,000 true fans. 1,000 Twitter followers does not mean 1,000 true fans. If the math that I just said, 1,000 Twitter followers, but only 50 of them buy 5%, that means you've got 50. This is fine. How do you get 51? And there is a relationship to sheer numbers, but too often that's the sole measure. Okay? One of my clients is saying, we've got to get to 25,000 Twitter followers by X date. And I keep going, we can do that, but shouldn't we be focused on getting the right people, the right followers? And in order to do that, you need a voice. And I go back to this mechanism. Something's wrong with Amazon. Something's wrong with Facebook. Something's wrong with Twitter. We're not filtering. There's something in the New York Times today, hopefully somebody grabs it, where there's a new business that's emerged that's going to start selling Twitter searches. So if I have something I want to show up in a Twitter search, I can pay for it to rank higher. The same way I can. I don't know if it's going to work, right? I mean, it'll work from a tech perspective, but I don't know if people are going to like it. But, because they're taking what right now straddles this weird line of authentic conversation and commerce and making it all about commerce. Doesn't make sense. How are we going to use this? How do you define that voice? How do you become the leader of the civic share? How do we get there? What bands are doing it well?
Well, have you heard of this new platform called Strings?
Strings?
Yeah. It's kind of, I haven't figured it out entirely yet, but it connects your Foursquare, Twitter, Facebook, everything that you do. I think it's the strings.com.
Good URL.
I'm pretty sure that's it. No, just it's down there.
This?
I think that's it. Yeah, and it tracks, you can pull trackers to your Amazon, your Hulu, your Netflix, everything.
So
And
this is
then-
metric stuff?
Yeah, and then you can download a thing to your Firefox, and when you see articles and other things, you can hit add in your it's a button in your Firefox that you download, and it adds into the
Are
tracker.
you using this?
I'm trying to figure out how to.
Well, but if they're making it difficult, you're a smart person, and if it's difficult for you to figure out, it means it's not going to work.
The idea is kind of cool though. It brings everything into one place.
Yeah, and I think that's part of what has to happen. We've got to start
Choices. Having them is a good thing. But when too many choices compete for your attention, it can certainly be a bad thing. Search brought us closer to what we want, but left us with a sea of blue to click through. The dawn of Web 2.0 and the real-time web have only added to that noise. And And with the explosion of people, products, and websites, it's now become even harder to discover meaningful content. Are you spending more time looking for what you want rather than enjoying it? Introducing Strings in the era of social tracking and filtering. Strings is a social tracking and filtering platform that allows users to share and uncover experiences that are relevant to them. Strings incorporates strong privacy controls, easy filtering, and tracking that allows your actions on and offline to automatically identify and personalize trends on your phone. Your privacy begins with anonymity and a deep set of controls to protect what others can see. Powerful filtering tools enable you to see where content is coming from, as well as how others have interacted with it. You will know when your connections play a song, buy a book, visit a restaurant, review an item, or even report a show on your DVR. Since real life extends beyond the internet, Strings keeps you connected even when you are offline or on your mobile device. This allows you to share the places you visited and the items you purchased all in real time. With Strings, instead of sifting through recommendations or being targeted by advertisers, you will be empowered to discover personalized microtrends based on your expressed personality and the personalities of others like you. Strings realizes the power of people. People filter preferences. Preferences empower business. Businesses gain intimacy with people. People trust their strengths.
I hate the marketing speak at the end, but that's cool. Explain it again.
It like tracks everything you do so that you can
Choices.
find.
Having
Let's
heard
not
that,
watch it again.
too many choices can add for your attention. It can certainly be a benefit.
I mean, I guess it's a filtering system so that you can find things that you like, assuming. I
Yeah,
guess
how do
it's
you
kind of-
find them though?
Well, I mean, for me, I guess it would be an understanding of that you know people that are
What's
similar
required here for this to work?
to make connections,
With
people that you know, assuming that they have the same interests as you.
a lot of these companies are sort of run into the dilemma of fax machines when they were first introduced. What did the guy that had the first fax machine do? Who did he fax to?
Yeah, and I think that's why I can't figure it out yet.
You don't have a network.
Yeah, there's no one there.
So my question is, and I believe Facebook is going to speak to this. You know, we talked about this a little bit. They're essentially, I mean, so many of us update our Facebook profile statuses with what they're saying. You know, and I think if you take the time to, what that seems like it's doing, and I'll play around with it, is you're probably connected to different things. So if you rent a movie from Netflix,
Yeah.
it'll probably update your string
Yeah, they have
status.
like trackers. and
Yeah,
you
it'll
can
track what
add
you do.
things.
Right. So now we get into weird sort of privacy issues, but you know, the internet has a very interesting relationship with privacy. But in any case, there's a big difference between watching a movie on Netflix, or just shooting around on Netflix and having that appear, and going to Facebook and saying, hey, I watched this movie, blah, blah, blah. Big difference. That's real sharing. I wonder if this Strings thing is actually authentic sharing, right? Because you all do stuff all the time online that you don't necessarily have an emotional response to. You know, you watch some movie, A, you may not want people to know that you watched 4 games for the 4th time. B, you may watch 30 seconds of it and then watch something, you know what I mean? So Facebook really is in the driver's seat because when they introduce search, beyond what they already have introduced, and you search for, want to watch a movie tonight, and you get a list of all your friends and what they've posted to Facebook over the last week with movies, that's deeply powerful, I think. But, you know, this is what, the words that they use are words we've been talking about, filtering, stuff that's sort, all that stuff. So it's an interesting mechanism. Bands doing this? Music? Labels? Companies? Startups? Anybody? What are you doing? Doing this type of becoming a trusted source and leading people and then helping them share. That's the grail, right? Make new friends, convert friends into ambassadors, have those ambassadors create new customers. That's what we're trying to do. So that's something that I also want to see, the disconnect between the blackboard and the chalk. Never the twain shall meet. Chalk for the blackboard, the other whiteboard. Behind the screen. brain roach of chalk. Wow, that's hard. So you have a thing, you've got to get your hardcore fans, the people that care, to go out and convert new friends. And I use friends in the loose sense. Make them ambassadors to convert their friends. I mean, this is how it works, right? I know because I was at the interview and I just couldn't do it tonight, but I know Greg was here informed. How is Community Records doing? Did that question come up? How did he do it? How is he doing?
He said this strategy was sort of like to keep his 20%. He said his thing's modeled on the
80-20.
80-20 rule, and he's trying to keep his 20% of his loyal fans happy. He's a scholar, and it's kind of like, you know,
This is a what?
the
Scholar,
ska punk
yeah.
label, but for the most part, and I guess like haters will not, like those fans, like specific target or
And then you hope that those 20% of people not only support you from a revenue standpoint, but go out and increase the overall pie.
Yeah, he has like a lot of, he has a really close communication between him and his fans.
How?
By like emailing back and forth and comments.
What did you say?
Like, really,
Handwritten letters. So what, the zine? Tell me about that.
So, instead of it just being like a computer that did the same, it's like anyone who lives
So an architecture of participation, to use a really sort of highfalutin term, getting your fans to not just feel like they're passive and being served by the entity, but by asking them for contributions, right? And then listening and responding. Because too often, we'll ask. Companies on Twitter do this wrong all the time. Hey, tell us your top 5 favorite movies. People do. And then you don't do anything. It's like asking a rhetorical question demanding an answer, right? So if you're going to ask, what are your 5 favorite movies? People respond, then you can take those responses and put them somewhere and say, hey, we asked, you answered, we listened. That's a conversation. Hey, we're creating a zine. Contribute content to that thing. And then make the zine and send it out. Anything less is jive. Anything less puts us right back in that Don Draper Mad Men modern psychology. We're going to make you think you're contributing, make you think we're listening to you, when in fact we're not. We're lying. And that's what gave advertisers such a bad name. It essentially made their name synonymous with liars. You're lying to me. You're trying to convince me of something that's not true. That just won't work anymore. It doesn't work anymore. So it doesn't surprise me for 1 second that Greg, who sat here in my classes and other classes and just studiously wrote stuff down, is doing things like the 80-20 Pareto principle. I mean, for those of you who don't know what that means, and Greg probably described it far better than I can, it means that 20% of your customers will drive the energy, be that revenue, sharing, whatever, for the rest of the 80. This was so true at Record. If we had 100 titles in the catalog, 20 of them, typically the Frank Zappa catalog, Morphine, M&W, or something like that, would sell enough to make up for the 80% of the other titles, you know, tube and throat singing, and that type of stuff. This didn't sell anything. And it's the same thing with regard to spreading the word. Not all of your friends are going to become ambassadors, but if you get 20% of them to do it, you can increase this whole pie. And that's another part of today's economy. We used to think of the music business and all other businesses as being zero sum. If you sell something to one person, it means fixed pie. We know now information is infinite. We'll need more. How are we doing? What are you guys going to show me in your content? It's going to make me feel it. Talk us through it. It's been the theme of the class. The reason they called the glue train is because they said all the answers are out there. The train of clues riding by. None of this is hidden. You just have to look. What do you see? Let's see what I think probably what you're seeing is whatever was the last few minutes of the top news on Yahoo. So Sean, videos are an interesting thing. Nobody's yet figured out how to make video work on the internet in any meaningful way. You can say that, right? Sean Hart. You can say that Google has I'm sorry, YouTube has succeeded, but we all know that as Google, but for Google buying YouTube, it'd be out there. And you guys watch videos to a certain degree, but do you ever, I think we talked about this last time, maybe it's in this class, do you ever log on and like watch a concert on Google? I mean, you've seen all these businesses spring up saying, hey, we're going to put cameras in clubs. And some, hang on one second, and some of you guys have had those business models, or your predecessors have had always said, you know, that doesn't seem to work. Yeah.
So I read my
What
about iClips.net.
What is it?
iClips.net.
Tell me about it.
It streams, well, it films, they go around filming concerts and with HD cameras, and then it's a subscription service. You pay $5 to get to see the whole concert.
Never worked.
It's strapped out. What's
Do you
that?
think it'll work?
Well, I mean, he's streaming like big festivals and shows, and I mean, probably doesn't make much money, but
Hey, if they're sustaining, that's better than I would
It's an awesome premise, and it's got people like me like really excited.
Do you watch it?
Yeah, all
Oh,
the
you
time.
do? Who else watches it?
I used to watch it when it was free.
Some of it's still free, not all of it's free.
Yeah.
Now you don't watch it. So it's not worth the $5.
I haven't heard about it in a while.
It's called iClips.
Yeah, I haven't heard
Sorry?
of this name
Not that.
pop up. They're not streaming as many shows that I am interested in as often as they were. I think they're kind of spreading and concentrating on music that actually makes money. That people actually care about it.
Yeah. Who are these people? Yeah. Oh, we have to drive by. You like to drive by cars?
No.
You aggressively dislike them, or you just don't?
No, I just don't like them.
That's an ad, by the way. Somehow I did not recognize that as an ad. The couch tour.
Yeah,
Who is on this couch tour?
not sure. Put that.
It's just something to do with festivals, they have like a kind of set up.
People come and sit on the couch.
Watch the shows that they have.
What are those chairs?
It's
Zillow.
Michael Travis from String Cheese Incident.
So it's jam band.
Well, they do like live. They
For the
do,
most part, yeah.
they do the electronic thing, don't they?
Sound tribes and all that stuff. So this is, I mean, it's nice looking, but I don't want to sit there and watch the drummer in this place. To me, this just, I can't imagine standing here watching this.
Really?
You guys
It's one of your
did?
favorite bands you're gonna watch.
No, I don't think I would.
I did.
You did?
I paid $5 for string cheese at Rockford.
And did you feel like it was a good purchase?
Absolutely.
It's like really good video.
Yeah.
Oh, it is
Like
actually.
live DVD almost.
Good shots. It's like a, yeah.
Like we buy music DVDs from concerts all the time.
No, I get that.
And you can full screen it, and you can, all that good stuff.
You can take it wherever you want.
What do you mean? You can download it?
He's working on that.
This you can download? What are the licenses involved here?
Our artist management approval? Artist management?
Assuming the artist management, and then, what are the licenses though?
Sync.
You run iClips, what do you have to get?
They would need the master license, wouldn't they?
There's no master.
For the
Sync
audio
or
recording.
Either
Sorry?
sync
The
or
audio recording
performance.
of them playing live.
So this is a live, they set a camera, right?
Yeah, but they recorded the sound.
I think it's all soundboard out.
Right, so they're not going to a label saying we want to use this master.
Just go to the artist and say,
So what are the problems with that?
Does it pay you money?
Hang on, let's talk this through. This is important because this is what you're gonna have to deal with. I'm a band. I'm signed to a label. I'm playing a festival. iClips approaches me and says, we want to, so it's gonna be depending on what they say. This is all they're gonna do. So let's look.
That guy's not pushing.
It might give me the- Still want somebody to think we know these are running. So I'm running iClips, Modesto Martin Wood, they're signed to Blue Note.
They're on iClips.
Okay, let's just play through the hypothetical. I am iClips, I come to Modesto Martin Wood and say, we'd like to film you during this concert. We're gonna then stream your concert from our site. You are the manager for MMW, what do you say?
What do I get?
well, it's recording.
It's a recording. It's a sound recording.
Yeah, it's still a sound recording.
Let's walk this through. Who wants to be manager? Maybe I should be manager. So you threw, what do I get? It's sort of the right question, but well, you get lots of promotion. We're going to put this up. We get 100,000 visitors a month to our website. We'll put a link back to your site. What do you say? What?
What do you have to give up?
You're asking me what I have.
Like, what would that be a question?
Oh, we just want to film you and put it up on the website. What questions are you going to ask? What are the issues?
Do we get a royalty?
Am I going to sell it? That's a good question, first of all. If I say I'm going to sell it, what questions pop up? Sorry? Well, when you say you're going to sell it, now this is where we get into very, very difficult territory. If you're going to sell it, what's the first copyright you get when you create a copyright? Very first, reproduction. Number one, the exclusive right to reproduce. If I'm just going to stream it, there's an argument it's not a reproduction because I'm not putting it on my computer. If I'm going to sell it and download it, unquestionably a reproduction. So what licenses do we have to get? If we're going to reproduce it, sorry, mechanical would be one of them because we have each song would be a mechanical reproduction. What's the other one? Because we're dealing not just with audio, it's sync, right? There would have to be a sync license for the reproduction of when you tether music to video. And then, as you said, you have mechanical because you're mechanically reproducing the song, right? And that's the distinction. There are two licenses. Not a master usage license there because there's no master, right? The master's being the live recording. They didn't put it on a record. Now, yes. Well, let's go the other way. So they say, well, forget it. First of all, the mechanicals, we pay what? iClips, we pay what every time somebody downloads it? What? What? What amount will we pay? Yeah, right. Right, because it's a compulsory license. So we know, as iClips, we know what our business model is there. We can project that out. Okay, we'll pay the damn statutory rate. No big deal. We know that we can bring in 12 cents for every song, and we pay 9 cents, so we got a decent profit margin. What about on the sync side? Sorry? There's a fee. The fee, yes. How much? Negotiate. We don't know. What is this band you want? I'm Zilla, hang on one second, and I'm the publisher for Zilla, and iClips come to me to request a sync license to affix their music to this audio, to this video, and reproduce it, and I say I want 50 grand. Just came to bother, paying 50 grand over. Now iClips can't run a business that way. You can't run around trying to negotiate sync licenses like that. Yes.
But also, I mean, if it's a live concert, usually there's gonna be some covers in there.
Okay.
So the
No problem.
songwriters that are actually not even playing the music, just, say cover a Stevie Wonder song, and to ask Stevie Wonder's publisher to post all the other songs they cover.
So if I cover Superstition, what happens?
Maybe you'll get a whole new license just
The
for that
venue
one
pays
song.
for that.
For what? For what way?
The public, if you're syncing it to video, you're gonna need a sync
The
license.
sync, but you don't have to negotiate the mechanical.
But I mean, you still like say, you know, there's 4 or 5 songs that not thirds, that's 5 an artist that you can negotiate 5 in the sync license.
That's right. Absolutely right. Each one of those publishers or writers can say that.
Wait, that's all.
Also, it's even more confusing. I'm playing very superstitious. About halfway through, I start doing a little rap. I've created what? Derivative work. Can't do that. Now we've created a whole new work. Not only do we have to get the sync, we got to get a license to create the derivative work because one of our other exclusive rights is to create derivative work. So you see where this starts to get really, really messy. And why most of these places, why I was asking, can you really download it? Right?
Yeah.
You can.
Can't.
You cannot. Okay, good. Yeah.
But how is this different if you're paying?
Well, right. So now, did I ask you a question? Or were you in the middle? How many?
I said, you still have to get the mechanical decision.
Right. And by the way, if and when I do that, say I'm going to go back to it and then drift off and do whatever little Peter Pan Neverland that I find that please pull me back. So let's talk about streaming now. So if you take the premise, and again, this is unsettled law, not yet had cases that have decided it. If you stream it, what do you have to do currently? Your iClips, and you want to stream stuff. How does it work? License track. No. With a, be careful here. There is a mechanical, but it's not the mechanical you're thinking of. So put that off to the side. What are the obvious things that you have to deal with? You want to stream something off of your site. Who do you have to pay to be able to do that? Whether you're streaming it or downloading it, right? Who?
Need all that. Sound scan? What is the thing that?
That's Sound Exchange is what you
Sound
think.
exchange, yeah.
But, okay, Sound Exchange would be one. Before we get there, this is a public performance, correct? You're streaming it from a website. Again, what you always have to go back to, and I'm not trying to convert you all into lawyers, but when you are, which is why lawyers tend to succeed in the music business. When you get confused as to what rights and licenses, just somewhere on your laptop, list out the 6 exclusive licenses that you get, rights, not licenses, rights, that you get as soon as you create a copyright. That's what all of this crap is in place to deal with. One of the exclusive rights you get when you create a copyright is the exclusive right to publicly perform. So, we deem streaming from a website a public performance. You want to know why? Because right now when I'm doing it, what is it? We're all sitting here enjoying this some of us, enjoying this person's copyrighted work, and ostensibly he or she is getting no compensation. That's
Do they
not
buy a
right.
blanket license from?
Sorry?
Do they buy a blanket license
Exactly.
from ASCAP or BMI?
So any place that is going to broadcast this has to pay a blanket license fee to one of the clearinghouse agencies. There are 3 in the United States.
CCAM, ASCAP, BMI.
What was the first one you said?
Not CCAM, CSAC. CSAC, whatever.
Well, no, whatever. You
No,
want to get that.
CSAC.
You're right. CSAC, ASCAP, and BMI. So you pay those. Well, I don't really feel like going through that, but you guys understand how that works, right? You pay your blanket like all that. So for public performance, you got to do that. Now you brought up Sound Exchange. Sound Exchange collects for the digital performance rights. Again, go back to to your copyright. Number 6, the exclusive right to digitally transmit sound recordings. That's what gave rise to Sound Exchange. It didn't used to be there. Digital Millennium Copyright Act throws that in there. All of a sudden, we need an agency to do it. Sound Exchange goes, hey, we can do it. The subtle difference is Sound Exchange collects on behalf of the featured performer, these guys, in the content holder, whereas ASCAP and BMI, as they always have, collect only on behalf of the right. And Sound Exchange only operates in the digital realm. So as we all know, and you're all sick of hearing, somebody gets played on terrestrial radio, only the right. So we've got our streaming issues there with our public performance. But copyright holders were not happy with this. They felt left out in the cold. They felt like, hey, yeah, but streaming's kind of like a reproduction. So as of about 6 months ago, we got new legislation. And it's called the Streaming Mechanical License. And this is giving copyright holders broadcasters all sorts of things. Nobody knows how much to pay, nobody knows what it is, and it is the grayest, most convoluted piece of legislation. Essentially what it does is it sets a rate based on your revenue minus what you're already paying to the public performance. So if you've got $1 million in revenue, you're paying ASCAP, BMI, and Sound Exchange $100,000, they're going to say, okay, let's figure out a rate that's not going to put you out of business. It's really, really gray. It's not yet. People aren't paying it. You're going to start seeing cease and desist notices coming out. I just got one. But it is in the legislation. There is now a streaming mechanical license. Not the same as when you download. Importantly, what's the most important differentiator between a stream and a download, given all the different licenses?
Offline capability.
What's that?
Like offline capability, you can't bring it with you anywhere else.
Right, but what's the distinction with regards to negotiating these licenses and
You
trying
don't
to
get to keep it.
No, don't. Well, it's all about reproduction.
You can't give it to someone else.
No, so what I'm getting at, I'm not asking the question very clearly. With the stream, you're dealing with all compulsory licensing because there's no synchronization. Right? Synchronization throws things out of whack. It's where you can't build a music video business when you got to negotiate all those sync rights one after the other. You can't do it. And so again, we get back to this idea of the mechanism is sort of screwed. Now, you as content creators, you may not want a compulsory license for sync. You may want to say, no, I don't want my sound recording tethered to video, even if it's me performing. I didn't like the way I looked at it. So all of this is what iClips is trying to deal with and contend with as they go out and try and build a business. They can't download stuff because then they get into a syncing situation. They'll stream it. They've got now this streaming mechanical thing, and they've got to get some revenues to offset those costs. And so what they've done, from what you guys are telling me, if I want this, they should make that applicable and tell me what I got to do to get it. So one thing they're doing is Groupon, right? That thing is exploding. 6 months. Anybody use Groupon? Crazy. 6 months in business, they're doing $100 million in revenue.
What does it do?
What is it?
It tells you local deals. It's sort of like Boost, but for local deals. One ridiculous coupon each day on the best thing to eat, so you do whatever. Let's see today's deal in New Orleans. Do they do it locally? But here's our transaction, right? We want to see what the damn deal is. I'll give you 2-hour daytime jazz cruise and lunch aboard the, I could not pay me enough money to do that, but I suppose somebody wants to do it for 15 rather than 34, 50. 441 people, as a matter of fact, did it. I imagine they sold this booger out. I can't imagine they'd get more than 441 people on this boat. Yeah, you know, can you imagine the 441 people that bought that thing? That's party time. What? Nice. They go and they make a deal with the steamboat captions and say, look, we'll sell your whole thing out at a deeply discounted thing. And they are growing like, Groupon is growing like one a day. One a day. They show steamboat captions. It's like food. You guys do food, right? I keep thinking somebody should do food for records. So you golfers, you could buy the Nike IC putter for $40. I don't know if that's good or bad. I do not want one. Pretty good. So where did our they do a deal with that? Everybody's doing a deal with that. Good idea.
I'm in
I
one
clipped
of
that
the
night.
You are. Well, let's find you one.
I clipped that net.
Sorry.
It's kind of hard to find.
Oh, I'll find it.
It's like, you like J-Banks.
What am I looking for?
I mean, you can just.
Come on.
It's, I don't, go to festivals.
Is this you playing or just partying
My
down?
face.
That's
It's
just
just
your
me
face.
raging.
You raging? Now I really want to see it. Which festival are you raging at?
Wakarusa 2008.
Gotta go to the shoot fun instead.
I don't see Walker Rizzo.
Yeah, I guess I took it off.
Making up words.
Go to Jam Cruise.
Oh, here's
Wookie Foot's great. Terrible. It's the worst band I've ever heard in my
Can
life.
we check out Swag Fest? Or Swag Stop? Go back. Wait, go back one more.
Swag
Oh, Michael Kang played.
Yeah.
Just like.
That's
String cheese.
So, I still don't see how I buy this thing though.
Huh?
So this is just hippie sandwich.
yeah.
If you click music, it has like a full list of like all the shows.
Well, let's go look at that dude. That's not hippie sandwich there. House sandwich.
Been a bit of.
Oh wow.
Fantastic Four. TV show for 1 second.
It's
That the band, yeah, exactly.
Huh?
Fantastic Four.
So they got some hipster bands, not just hippie bands.
yeah, no, it was Langerado. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So it looks like you can watch all of them.
So you should ask how much money is about an hour's received from MyFlip.net. Are you in this thing? Why would you see money from it? Is it possible something your way?
Take your time.
Where are you, Maddie? So they film all this and edit it and everything? Well, you know, and one other issue that we didn't bring up, so I'm the manager, who was the band we were using, MMW, and they say they want to stream a performance of me off their site, what's the first thing I say? Keep going to that. My band is an exclusive recording artist with Blue Note. We can't. Are you filming me?
I was taking a picture.
What? Oh, okay. Glad you're not taking pictures of me. Yeah, tweet that out. So my band is an exclusive recording artist. You certainly sure as hell aren't gonna sell it. You know, maybe we'll let you stream it. So all sorts of sort of complicated rights. Yes, this is really way more than a lot of the stuff that you probably got freshman year about royalties and all this stuff. This is using business finance. How you need to navigate this stuff. The best advice I can give you, just memorize those 6 rights and go, okay, somebody wants to do something, what are they potentially in violation of? Anybody have other articles they want to talk about? I got caught up in Iowa.
Yeah, I have one about a video engagement. This company called Brightco did a study, and it says in the month of January, Vivo had 226 million views, while individual artist websites accounted for 20 million views. However, Brightco noticed that videos on artist websites were watched for a longer period of time, on average 10% longer than Vivo or YouTube. And 29% of all videos watched on artist sites were watched all the way through, compared to psychology aggregators.
So tell me your what do you take away from that?
That people that go to smaller sites and artist websites and individual sites like that are more engaged in blogs and YouTube and stuff.
And how would we measure? How would we know that as managers? What tool would we use to measure that? And what specifically on Google Analytics would we be looking at? Bounce rate is good. That's just tells you how many people come and jump off. Time on site, right? And you can really start correlating stuff on time on site. Hey, we put a new video up. All of a sudden, our time on site went from 1 minute up to 5 minutes. People watching the same video.
That's like fun. It says the average video on the individual artist website is watched for 2 minutes and 30 seconds, while the average video time on Google is watched for 1 minute and 30.
Yeah. So, I mean, this speaks directly to what I was talking about earlier. If you've got some trusted source saying, check this out on my site, you're going to be more engaged than if you